Hello, guys. Welcome to Indiana Sports Connection. We are going to break down the Illinois Indiana game coming up on this Friday. I made the thumbnail and I'm thinking this is like the biggest game in Indiana history. It's the biggest game in the history for Kurt Signetti, is the biggest game that we've had in a long time. And I know last year against Ohio State was big. The one was big against Notre Dame in the playoffs, but so far, the monkey has been firmly on Indiana's back. Like, if the pundits and the media, and I don't like to, give the pundits and the media all that much credit, but let's just face it. Like, Indiana's ranked, well, they were ranked 23rd. Now they're ranked 19th, playing Illinois, a number 9 ranked team. And the only way for Indiana to get some respect in this college football playoff is to win this game. I think it's got to be win the game. I think if it's a very close competitive game, I think, in the end, I think you'll be satisfied but disappointed with that. But we're going to break it all down for you. What does Indiana have to do to win this game? But first, hit that subscribe button down below. This is Indiana Sports Connection. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for joining me. This week, I was going to make like 3 videos, and I've just had so many different things going on. So, this is like big game Saturday, 7:30 on Peacock. This is going to be the biggest game of the year, but hit that subscribe button, and you'll be entered to win. I have this classic hoodie that I'm giving away, and I don't have it with me right now, but and I'm only like 8 subscribers away from that. So if you hit the subscribe button and leave a comment on the video that says "Go Hoosiers," you will be entered to win that sweatshirt if the video hits 3,200 subscribers. So go ahead and do all that stuff right now. And now let's get into talking about the Indiana Hoosiers. I am so pumped up about this game. I think everybody, this is what we've all been waiting for. The fans, the temperature of the fans, you can't sit there and brag about beating Indiana State 73-0. And I know I was going to make a video talking about that game on Monday or Tuesday, but sorry, it looked like we passed by that one. But with this game coming up against Illinois, there's like no better time to fill Memorial Stadium, get super pumped up about the Hoosiers, because look, first off, like the very first thing I want to talk about in this game is like Indiana is going to have to run the ball from the very beginning. I think early on in this game, and look, Indiana was able to run the ball like against the better teams like Notre Dame and Ohio State. Will they be able to run the ball? Now, here's one thing to talk about. Lee Beebe Jr. is out for this game, and a lot of people are saying, well, he's our most explosive back and everything. I believe Hemby is our number 1 back. Beebe is number 2. Kalen Black actually has a lot more experience, but yes, Beebe showed himself there in the early parts of what Indiana was doing. And we'll talk about the line here in a minute, because that's on my card. Like, what does Vegas know that we don't know? So, Travis, I appreciate the but BB being out, I don't think it's that big of a deal. We do have the guy that came in, Martin, that came in, and he looked really, really good. But a younger back, but him getting that little bit of experience in that Indiana State game, and hope all is well for Lee Beebe Jr., because we could definitely use his explosive plays in this. But him and Black and Martin, they're going to have to like sure that up. And I do think like Indiana's going to have to run the ball for over 100 yards. I think it's really going to come down to, can they run the ball enough to get themselves ahead of the sticks, get into 2nd and 5, 2nd and 3. Can they do that on the ground from time to time and give themselves some opportunities to take some chances down the field? We know Signetti likes to be aggressive. I think he's going to, he has a very opportunistic defense, but he also plays a very opportunistic type of offense as well. So, like, will they take some risk if they're able to get some of those like 2nd and short opportunities? That is yet to be seen. This is the biggest game I think Kurt Signetti has ever coached in. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because the pressure, I believe, is on Indiana in this game. So, we're being seriously disrespected. Although the line is like we have Indiana's like a 6.5 point favorite right now. I mean, Indiana's been ranked in the 20s all year, and we were in the college football playoff last year. And so I do think in that way where even though Indiana did all the stuff they did last year, they got like no respect coming into the season this year. I mean, that does really piss me off because, yeah. So a lot of the guys on the team, they should be that too. It's like, and I do believe that, like, there was a situation last year where, Indiana kind of, Illinois lost to Penn State early in the season. Indiana kind of like stole all of their thunder. I think Illinois last year wanted to be Indiana. And I believe there was one comment I heard on CBS Sports where they were talking about their coach. And he said something along the lines of like, we don't want to be Indiana or we want to be better than Indiana. If you remember what that comment that guy's, but he said something about Indiana last year that was kind of like how they wanted to be us or they don't want to be Indiana. They wanted to be like something above us or something like that. So their coach, Rick, nice to see you here. Yes, Indiana will be Illinois. I do think so. I think there's something out there that look, Vegas, they don't miss this terribly on a pick. I was so surprised. Today was actually the first day I was like looking at the lines and how they had changed and everything. And yeah, I gotta say, I'm very surprised. I thought Indiana would maybe be like a 2 point favorite in this game. I think these teams are very, very evenly matched. Let's talk about the quarterbacks for 1 second. Altmaier, a lot more experience with the same team. Like, so he's got a lot more continuity. I mean, we have Mendoza, who, where a lot of people think, his talent level is higher, where, he could maybe go in the NFL, go in the NFL draft or something like that. But he's got a lot less continuity. That being said, in that last game against Indiana State was like by far, like to me, that was by far the best he looked. Like you saw him throwing balls with anticipation. You saw him throwing balls in the end zone where, the guy hadn't even made his cut yet and he had threw it, and he was able to run underneath it. So that I mean, that there, I mean, I really got to give the advantage, I think, to Altmaier just because of his experience. But we're going to see, like, Mendoza's not really played in a ton of really big games. He played in a game for Cal last year against Miami, and they came up, I believe, like 1 point short. But that was in a real duel in Miami against that Cam Ward that was drafted number 1. So, I mean, that's one of his like big games that he played in. But you know, will he be able to really? You got to harness your emotions in these games. You have no idea with a quarterback that's new to the team and things. But what we don't want to see is it all on his shoulders to be able. And that's where running the ball, if it's all on his shoulders to throw the ball a bunch of times in this game and really try to like beat them in that way, I do think that's where Indiana would not be in their best. I just don't think Mendoza. I don't trust him enough as in just what I've seen so far to really kind of like throw the ball into tight windows down the field. But we're gonna see. Indiana's defense has given up some of these big chunk passing plays. Like in this game, you're gonna have to, like, even if you give up that 30-yard pass, you got to tackle. Like that is, you're going to give up some big plays in this game, and Illinois is going to, and it's college football. College football, the field is way more wide open. You're going to get some chunk plays against this team, but the key is going to be like on the back end. Farrell, Pons, the cornerbacks, safeties, and they are going to have to tackle on the back end because we've already seen this Indiana team give up some big chunk passing plays. And so we're going to see it in this game. It's like, don't let them take it to the house. That's it. Like if they're, make it a 35-yard play, not a touchdown play. And that will go a long way in this game because we know how college football can go. You can really just start like unraveling really, really quickly. And especially for Indiana, like Do we think that Indiana's gonna be I don't think they're gonna be overmatched physically up front. I think our offensive line is I think this is the best offensive line Indiana's probably ever had. I mean, probably in the top 5 of all time, but our offensive line, uh, just from our center out from Coogan and then, our left tackle, Brandon Fish, but we have a great left tackle. I forget his name, but, but yeah, our guys up front are they they really have to push the sled in this game. I really think it's going to come down to us being able to run the ball. I think Illinois is going to try to run the ball on us as well, and it might come down to the quarterbacks. It might come down to two defensive lines that don't give up a lot of running. And I have kind of thought that this game could turn into a shootout where it might be in the 30s or 40s. But I mean, it's kind of hard to see, but there's something in my mind that does think that this game might turn into a shootout. But in Signetti in big games, like since he came to Indiana, we just got to be honest about it. Like he's not been great so far. I don't think Indiana was like way. Uh, well, I do. I think our offensive line was just overmatched in some of those big games against Ohio State. And let's just be honest about it. Our offensive line could not hold up against Ohio State. They were blitzing us every time. I don't think we're going to see like a similar level of defensive talent and I mean offensive talent that Ohio State and Notre Dame had like Howard Cross, and I don't just see that for Illinois having that level of talent where they're going to just be able to get home on Indiana like that. I I think Indiana's line is better than it was last year, and I think Illinois is not nearly the caliber team that like Notre Dame or Ohio State were last year. That's what's so interesting about this game because we saw them play those two teams that ended up playing in the national championship game. They weren't like we never saw Indiana really face like that kind of like mid-level team like in Iowa this year, like they face next week. And that's the other thing after winning this game. You cannot have a letdown because you got Iowa on the road next week and then Oregon. So this game, if you win it, you can't be celebrating for that long. It's gonna be uh yeah, it's going to be a real barn burner. I cannot wait for this game. I mean, with it being a night game, and I do not think they're hyping this game up enough. I mean, this is the first really big game of the Big Ten season. I think because it's Indiana and Illinois, a lot of people maybe are just acting like it's, not to be in the college football playoff. But this game to me, like a lot determines whether or not, like these two teams playing head to head will determine I mean, it might be that's where the bubble is, where it's like Illinois or Indiana. So that's why this might be the one of the most critical games that Indiana plays all year. I think they're going to win it. I think Indiana's going to win by. I think it's going to be a really close game, but I think in the end it's going to be 41-35 is what I think the final score is going to be. I think it's going to be more of a different type of Signetti game where maybe it's more back and forth, but we shall see. I mean, I like to see like a real high scoring college game. And so and let's talk about the defense for a minute. Like, can the Signetti defense hold up like it did last year and then make the big plays? That was kind of the difference between like when we played the top tier teams, they didn't make the type of mistakes that we got Nebraska to make, that we got Michigan State to make, that we got, some of those worst teams. So if we can stuff their run and get them throwing the ball across the middle, can Indiana, come up with an interception, come up with like that big play on defense that will really be like a game changer. That is where last year, every one of the big games we had, Indiana really, really uh played really, really we got a score here. 30-13. I could definitely I would go for that. And that would be like the other thing. If Indiana blows them out in this game, I mean, what will they say? I mean, they'll probably say that Illinois wasn't nearly as good as we thought they were. Um, I mean, why is Notre Dame still ranked this week? I heard them talking about that on the radio this morning. And it's like, how is Notre Dame still ranked after being 0-2? I'm sorry, but yeah, being I love Notre Dame, but no, they're not. You can't be ranked just because when you're 0-2, they're the only team that's 0-2 and ranked right now. So what does Las Vegas know that we don't know? Like, why is Indiana such a big favorite in this game? With Lee Beebe's injury this week, you would have thought the line would have been around 2.5. I'm just very interested. Is it, if you look at the history of Illinois' coach, he coached at Arkansas and he coached at Wisconsin, and he doesn't maybe have a great record and against big games, against big teams. I mean, I guess you would categorize Indiana in that, but last year, I mean, I was looking at their games last year. They did like really get shellacked by Oregon one time. I mean, there were teams they took some couple of ass kicking. So it's really I think India isn't Xavier Booker their quarterback. I thought I heard this yesterday. I gotta look into that. Thank you. I gotta look up, yeah, their injuries. I'll tell you, like their team. I watched the half of the Duke game, and I was trying to like get familiarized with all their players and everything like that. But I'm gonna tell you, like looking at stats early in the year, even looking at Indiana stats, I don't want to come up on here and be like, well, they're averaging like Indiana's averaging like 6.7 yards a carry, and Illinois has played Duke. So they beat Duke on the road. That's a bigger game than Indiana's played all year. I mean, in a tougher environment, they were able to take care of business there. They were able to get some turnovers. I watched that game, and it just, it turned in their favor, and Duke didn't look like they were coming back. But that was a big game for Illinois. They really got it done there. So they do have a little bit of a edge as far as like what schedule they've played so far. But I'll tell you what, I think Indiana's going to win this game. I think it's going to send the media a little bit into a frenzy where is Indiana, could they be the big deal? And then the debate will start. But I think Signetti is going to have the guys ready. I think Indiana's more primed, like after playing in those big games last year and a lot of the experience they have coming back. And I mean, I know it's a different quarterback, but you got Mendoza, you still have Surratt, you still have Cooper, and look for somebody on the special teams for Indiana to make a big play. You think about like the Michigan game last year. Signetti's team so far have been really opportunistic in the special teams game, blocking punts. They have blocked a lot of punts. They've ran back a lot of punts, and they've been really aggressive. I mean, the run back against Michigan, just because it was right in front of me, was like such an incredible play because it was a short punt that Price just like came running in on and grabbed. So that is like in my head because Indiana has made a lot of big plays on special teams, and that seems to be something that Signetti always like to have a trick up his sleeve. If they come out with maybe a certain lineup on punt or something like that, you could definitely see them go after it and get a block punt. And that's a great way to just get yourself in for an easy touchdown there. So, will this be the first top 25 team? I don't know. Like I was looking, Signetti's won big games, like won big championship games when he was coaching, like at the lower level. But I think like just for him, with last year, the two ranked teams, that's the feather that's in everybody's cap right now about Indiana, is that we didn't beat the big teams last year, and everybody's still going off of that. even this team this year is was ranked to where they are because they think this team needs to prove that they can beat somebody before they're going to rank them any higher. So got to beat Illinois in this game. I think it's going to be unbelievable. Indiana's going to get it done. And I don't think they'll be in the top 10, but I think they beat Illinois in a good way. I think they will move up to like 12, somewhere in there, and they will have to give Indiana some respect. And yeah, it would just really get the ball rolling, get the fire going for the crowd. It's going to be raucous there. And, I just can't wait for it. It's going to be an unbelievable game. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Indiana Sports Connection. Until next time, stay classy out there, Hoosier fans.